Zipping along here, zippity doo dah.
Alrighty.
Now, Dottie, you say you've lived around Winston and Sanford, and we know you went to Savannah, but did you ever live in this house at all before you bought it?
I did have the honor of living here with Aunt Marjorie and brought my dog McCleary when I was building a little house across the backyard from my sugar cuz in Winston-Salem and lived downstairs in Lisa's old bedroom. And a fun thing is Aunt Marjorie had many relatives and probably some friends too who temporarily lived in that bedroom at some point or another. And she used to have a list on the inside, taped to the inside of the closet door, that had every relative who had ever lived here and the length of their stay, the dates of their stay. I wish we still had that document, but sadly we don't. And it's funny to hear her talking about how she was a little tentative about me living here because I was bringing my dog McCleary, who was a Llewellyn setter, and she's funny telling the story that she said okay, and when I brought McCleary here, every day I would leave for work, and he would immediately, when I left, go get in my bed, curl up, and lay down, and stay there till I got home. She's like, I thought it was gonna be so much to take on, and yet I didn't even know he was here. So that worked out really well.
Were there any furniture pieces, anything here to speak of? How was the place fashioned, for furniture? How was it laid out? Was there any? Was there homemade Lamar furniture, or did he support any local furniture makers?
Mostly, they had this house furnished with either mid-century modern classics like the orange Eames sofa, the mean chair that I'm sitting in, which is really an Eames chair that they got for a wedding present, the molded ply Eames chair. And the dining room was Danish modern, dining room table and chairs. And I can't remember what the original two chairs here by the TV were. I'm sure Danish modern or modern classic pieces. But after the tornado, I think those were Eckernes stressless chairs, which are also a well-respected modern piece. But the house was furnished pretty minimally and pretty sparsely, just what they needed, nothing more. And the beds were just all of them full size or twin beds, although Thomas had bunk beds, but on just really simple bed frames. And the headboard essentially was just a little shelf rail with a kind of an apron or fascia across the front, built from column to column. And it also acted as the nightstand. So it was very functional, very minimal, utilitarian, again, very Miesian.
Oh, and were there any particular colors that were used in the house, or it stood out, or is there any meaning, any significance to any of the colors picked out for the house that you remember or have heard about?
The colors used in this house were, again, all about a purist's taste and vision for this house. All of the concrete block until the tornado from the storm Hugo, I think it was Hugo, all of the concrete block was natural, which is pretty close in color to what it's painted now. But when it was rebuilt, the new concrete block, of course, didn't match the old concrete block. So they painted it all then. But the sheetrock was always, between the columns, was always white. Concrete block painted gray, which concrete block is. The wood used to be natural, a natural brown stain. After Hugo, it was also painted brown. So the old wood would match, look good with the new. The Brazilian mahogany, either Brazilian or Mexican mahogany, which was very typical of mid-century modern design, also natural. And when you look at this wall, which was a gallery wall, you can see where the color changed over time, just where a piece of art was, the sun fading or bleaching or darkening the wood. And so there's a really neat patina on this wall, which was just natural. The cork flooring that was in here also was its natural color. So everything was just really about the color of its truest and most pure self.
Go ahead, you can ask me.
Then what about the colors? You're an interior designer, so you must have an opinion about this. The colors that they chose for the textiles, draperies, things like that, and furnishings in the house. Do you remember anything specific?
Definitely remember in the 60s, as far back as I can remember, in the 60s, some fun, typical mid-century or modern 1960s colors like orange. The Eames sofa was orange. Everything else pretty neutral. I think after Hugo, some navy blues were introduced. My aunt loved sort of jewel tones, but would introduce those through ethnic pieces. They traveled a lot throughout the world, and she would pick up interesting pieces. They were really big art collectors, and that is even evident in the house itself, because the kitchen cabinets, the face of the upper cabinet sliding doors were painted by a local artist that was very well known. And their bedroom door, in lieu of a bedroom door, they had, I think, probably a 4x8 sheet of plywood or board or something that an artist painted, and it was attached to the wall with a piano hinge, a single piano hinge, and it was open below and open above, and it didn't latch, so it was not a conventional door. It was really more of a partition. My aunt loved that door so much that she now has it with her where she lives as a piece of artwork. And she's promised to will that back to the house after she either no longer wants it or she's no longer with us. So that will come home to this house at some point. And then downstairs, the concrete block wall in the playroom has large polka dots painted on it and a little something else down below. And that was also commissioned work by a local artist. And that was touched up and restored after the tornado.
I know you've mentioned it 2 or 3 times, but would you mind just go through your knowledge of the tornado again, how it affected the family, how it affected the house, was there displacement, and where you may not be stone set in your facts and your numbers, just tell it as best as you can, and we'll have other members corroborate possibly.
Sure.
No, I mean, just tell us what you heard about or know about that.
In 1989, I'm pretty sure it was 1989, a storm came through Winston-Salem called Hugo and brought with it tornadoes. And my aunt and uncle, luckily, they were empty nesters at the time, and luckily they were out of town when it came through. And some trees fell in the yard and really crushed the house, crushed the roof and the foyer. And so they had to move out of the house for, it seemed like maybe about a year, into a condominium and have the house really restored and rebuilt. But it was done exactly like it had been before. And to this day, you really wouldn't know that anything happened.
Dottie, when did they allow their children to decorate their bedrooms any way they could, or they wanted to, or were there restrictions? Like they said, like don't thumbtack things to the wall, or they didn't like them to put up posters and stuff, or could they just do what they wanted? And how did they decorate their bedrooms?
I can remember Thomas and Jan and Lisa's bedrooms, little things about their bedrooms and how they would each choose to bring their own personality into their rooms. And Aunt Marjorie and Uncle Lamar, while Uncle Lamar was such a purist and very Miesian, less is more in his architectural philosophies, they were so open to letting their kids be who they are.
You remember any specific was like, had like rock posters up or anything like that?
I don't remember many specifics, but I remember downstairs in the day of vinyl, like vinyl decals or something. I remember this phase, this trend of, and Lisa in her room, I thought she was so lucky because in her room, Aunt Marjorie cut out or found these cutouts that said like love, peace, groovy, different things like that. And then peace signs go in between them in all these cool colors. And I just thought she was so lucky that she got to have that.
Any black light posters?
Oh, yeah. Black light posters, black lights, beads hanging at the doors, which were so fun. There was no way to be sneaky about going in and out of bedrooms with those loud beads. And one of my favorite things is every time Aunt Marjorie would say, okay, everybody, y'all need to go into your rooms and clean them up. And they would just look at her and say, you must be high. And Aunt Marjorie would just start cackling and go, oh, stop it. In my household, my mother would have been like, to your room right now. Not putting up with that. So fun. And of course, cleaning our rooms here, I could say mine, but helping Jan clean her room just really consisted of pushing everything under the bed.
How soundproof was the house? Could you hear, if you're in the living room, could you hear the children downstairs? Could they hear their parents watching TV while they're downstairs?
I don't think in this house we could hear what was going on upstairs, downstairs, and vice versa. But certainly on the same level, you could hear a lot of what was going on. And we used to love when we were little, and Aunt Marjorie's on the phone. She had a little phone ledge, of course, built in the kitchen. And we used to love to stand around the corner from her when she was on the phone and pretend like we were a part of the conversation. And I remember one time she was talking to this woman who's this is so goofy. Her name was Lois Levine. And I starting this whole conversation and so silly. Pretending we were crying because we thought Lois was leaving. And really her name was Lois Levine. And we would be standing around the corner going, Lois is leaving! Oh, Lois is leaving! And stuff like that. So, definitely close quarters in this house.
All right, let's take a break.
Yeah.
How long have you got it?